Welcome to CavsHQ presented by Sherwin-Williams. Thank you for joining us on Fox Sports Ohio and the Cavaliers Radio Network. Now, here are your hosts, John Michael and Rafa Hernandez-Brito.
We welcome you back to another CavsHQ presented by Sherwin-Williams. Great to be visiting with you on Fox Sports Ohio. We're also simulcast on the Cavaliers Radio Network, virtually alongside the Spanish voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Rafa Hernandez-Brito. I am John Michael. Well, the Orlando bubble has come to an end in the NBA, a smashing success. And, you know, while it was difficult for the players and the coaches and the staff being down there for that extended period of time, the product, no question about it, was off the charts. And again, I think it's a credit, Rafa, to the commitment, you know, the financial commitment, and also to the ingenuity of the NBA to be able to pull all of this off. We think back a couple months ago, was it going to work? I mean, could this even be possible? Sure enough, not only was it possible, it was fantastic. Now turning our attention to the Cavaliers. Cavs just got done with the mini training camp here in town. We're going to talk about that. Joe Gabriele of Cavs.com will be along in the second half of the show, and we will discuss. He had some access. Interesting times, obviously, to get some of the players back there on the floor. The front office, the coaching staff was clamoring for this. And although maybe not exactly what they wanted, certainly a great opportunity to get everybody on the floor together. NBA draft coming up November 18th. Isn't it crazy, Rob? It's getting cold outside. You're down there in Miami, I know. But here, it's getting cold outside, and we're getting ready for the NBA draft. It's bizarre.
It's bizarre, but it's great because we're already thinking about next season. I think that's something, you know, at the beginning when everything stopped on March 11th, I think it was March 10th, we played March 10th. But when everything stopped in March 11th, the first question was, when are we going to get back to basketball? We finally got back to basketball, and now we're waiting now for the draft. They're gonna start working with training camp. Hopefully, from what we have heard from Commissioner Silver, this plan you mentioned about the work that has been done in the bubble. There has been a whole separate group in the NBA office working exclusively on getting the next season prepared and what the different plans are for execution for next year. So I think it's just great that we're already thinking of next season. You know, our front office has been busy since everything started. Now is the draft, a whole different way of scouting and interviewing and meeting these young men. And I think, again, that the teams that are more innovative, the teams that are more creative, and they are the ones that are going to come out ahead on this thing.
Cavs are slated to pick fifth in that upcoming draft. So we don't know when the season's going to start. Again, the commissioners hinted the idea is you want to have full buildings again, or at least partially full buildings. But the hope is full buildings, and the hope is an entire 82-game schedule. We'll see how that plays out. And we also will see, you know, to enable that to happen, what month that will be in. We don't know at this point. January seems like the earliest starting date that it may be, just reading the reports and listening to the commissioner. But again, that's going to be hashed out in weeks to come. We have a great show. It is a packed show. As mentioned, Joe Gabriele, founder of Cavs.com, is going to be joining us in the second half to talk Cavs bubble. We also have a brand new segment, Uncorked, presented by Knocking Point Wines. Who better to have with us than Cavalier legend Campy Russell, as Campy here, of course, on Fox Sports Ohio. Before and after each and every Cavalier game, we'll get to visit with Campy in the confines of his own home. And also another great guest. I mean, Rafa, this is, you know this gentleman very well, Marcus Rivera. He's responsible for the art that we see on the cleats, you know, in baseball and in football, the art that we see on the shoes in basketball. It's a crazy industry. I'm really excited to talk to him because he is one of the, if not the founder of this whole, you know, this whole thing that we're seeing, this whole trend of this art on shoes. It's great stuff, and I can't wait to talk to him and see some more of his stuff.
It's a craze that is going on, and I think it's so strong, John. And we'll talk to Marcus about it. That he has changed the way that the leagues have the rules about color in the uniforms, about what colors the players can wear in the shoes. So baseball, football, tennis is done, and Marcus Rivera had Sold by Sir, his name is. We, you know, I'm sure he feels whole now that you and I are gonna be part of his one-on-one family because we're gonna debut here as well. Our new customized shoes. Thank God the Cavs don't have any rules on colors or shoes wearing for the broadcasters, but stay tuned because it's gonna be amazing.
Lastly, we're coming up against a break here. Did you see that Dylan Windler got engaged? Did so, my understanding was at the field house with his family and everything else. Very congratulations to Dylan Windler.
Congratulations, but I talked to my wife Lily, and she the first thing she said was, "Thank God you didn't think about doing that to me." And I mentioned to her I was gonna put it on Kiss Cam the time when she comes to the game, and she goes, "I'll slap you! Don't ever put me on those things." So,
it was interesting. It was an interesting location. I mean, we love the field house and everything else, and obviously it's special. He's set to make his NBA debut next season. But honest to goodness, that was the first thing I thought of was the people who get engaged on the Jumbotron, and how that would not fly at all in the household. I'd still be a bachelor. I wouldn't be in this house. I'd be in an apartment somewhere. Congratulations, Dylan Windler. Hey, great show straight ahead. Uncorked, Campy Russell. That's next. John and Rafa back with you here on CavsHQ. And just recently, Rafa, some exciting news. Cavaliers have a new official wine of the Cavs. It is Knocking Point, and this is our first Uncorked segment with Knocking Point. Campy Russell is going to join us in a moment, but note the product placement, Rafa. That's Marketing 101. I don't usually have it on my mantle, but there's the product placement. There it is, Knocking Points. Got a nice mug and everything else. Always excited to talk to Campy. This is a neat promotion, by the way. It's not just a promotion, it's a partnership, but what Knocking Point is doing with the Cavaliers, right?
It is amazing. First of all, we are the wine and gold. So we needed a wine partner to go there. Who better to have the Knocking Point? And the best part about it, and I'm already working to see if we can get ourselves one of those boxes that they're going to have for the Wine and Gold Club. They're going to be sending them a box of curated wine, and not only that, the bottles are going to have local artists' works emblazoned. I love that word, by the way, emblazoned on the bottles. And I think it's going to be amazing to see not only the work of local artists, but also to taste this delicious wine. I'm not a connoisseur, but I know what kind of wine I like or don't like. So, I'll make sure I'll include you in this box, this gift box that the club members are going to get. I'm pretty sure you won't say no to it, but I'm happy to have Knocking Point. They were part of the bubble during our bubble, so it's great to have them as a partner.
Yeah, let's note this is the first time on the show that Rafa is asking for gifts and for merchandise from one of our sponsors or one of our guests. Yeah, you said it. The subscribers get a special co-branded box. Part of the wines that features the work of Cleveland artists on the label. So that's good stuff. And now at this point, we will bring in someone who has aged like a fine wine, our friend, Cavalier legend. It is Campy Russell. Always great to be able to sit down and talk to Campy a little bit. And there he is. Camp, I know from being on, the broadcast team with you, and we've gone on some trips, that you do enjoy wine. Are you a red wine or a white wine guy?
Well, I would say I do both, for the most part. And when I speak of wine, I definitely like a white wine, but at the same time, I like the red wines as well. But I like some, from a white perspective, I like the ones that are not so, I'm going to use the word bitter because I'm not a real connoisseur, but so bitter. I like them kind of like right in the middle of the road. As for red wine, I like those to be more on the dry side.
Right, yeah.
Dry side was full flavored. So to me, that's what I know about wine, and that's what I like generally.
And I think that's the best part about wine drinking, because I think it's just like in golf, that the good guys are playing on TV, everybody else plays on the regular golf courses. In wine, I think the sommeliers are the ones that know exactly about the grape and the year and the way it was fermented and everything. We know what we like and what we don't like. And I think what you just said is perfect. The red wine, I love it dry. I don't like too sweet on the white. So, but I don't know much about wine, but I know which ones I like, and I can tell you if I like it or not. And I have tried some wines already, and they are delicious, Campy. And I know John said you age well. Are you the guy that returns the bottle when they open it for you at the table? You know, have you seen that they let you try a little bit, like taste it a little bit, or you just always say, okay, good, keep serving it?
Well, for me, I like to taste it initially because the worst thing can happen is all of a sudden you just take it for granted and you taste it and like, do this. And the person that's serving it to you look at you like, wow, you don't like this? So for the most part, I try to be very courteous and not give myself away in a lot of instances.
Why do I picture Rafa always sending it back? Just even
yes,
even just to irritate the people. And just to
well, you know Rafa very well, so you know how he reacts to things.
Yeah, he thrives in situations where it's uncomfortable. He loves it.
Yes.
Campy, what have you been up to? I mean, we check in every once in a while, see every couple of weeks, but it's been 6 months or so since Cavaliers season abruptly ended. Have you been keeping busy?
Well, I have, to tell the truth. I've been trying to stay as busy as I possibly can. Right now, we're going back into the office at least once a week at this particular point. Still doing a lot of Zoom or virtual events for the Cavs as well as for the Legends or with the Legends. So it's been somewhat busy, but you know something? This thing is beginning to wear on me like it is everybody else. But one thing for sure, we all have to stay diligent in terms of staying safe, staying healthy, wearing our masks, keeping the distancing, doing all those things. So for me, I'm just trying to do whatever is necessary to stay safe as well as for my family, and more importantly, for other people that I'm around. I'm always very conscious of that, and I just think and I hope that everybody else stay just as conscious so that we can help eliminate this situation.
Certainly great to hear, Campy. Great stuff. We opened the show talking about the Orlando bubble and tipping our hat to the NBA. There was so much uncertainty before it began, so much uncertainty starting in March when the NBA suspended games. And now it is complete. And while it was difficult for the players and the coaches, and it wasn't easy. I mean, there were big time sacrifices to be made. It basically went flawlessly. Did it surprise you at all, Campy? What's your take on what you saw and the level of performance and how everything eventually played out? 0 positive tests the entire time.
And John, I think you have to give kudos to the entire NBA, starting with Adam Silver.
Yeah.
He and his staff and the rest of the league and the rest of the GM, presidents, whoever that is, they did an outstanding job of putting procedures in place and then backing those procedures up to the degree that you're right. There has not been a whole lot of issues there. This has been a difficult year for everybody, but I have to give a lot of kudos to our league as well, because this thing has worked out extremely well given the circumstances. And the games that have been played, they have been superb. The guys have went in their game and taken their craft to a whole different level. To operate in that type of a situation and play at a high level, you got to give a lot of credit to everybody that has participated in this event in terms of NBA basketball.
Speaking of bubbles, we had a mini bubble just to get our guys together for 10 days. And one of the things that came out, besides the bonding and finally playing 5-on-5, was the weight gain that Colin Sexton had put on. And I wanted to ask you, you're a guy that's still working around and you're playing weight. How do you think that affects you? Do you have that experience when you were playing or the difference in weight? And how do you think it's going to affect or benefit Colin Sexton with the type of game he has and the fact that he's never missed a game in his career?
Well, I don't think that that's anything to be concerned about, because one thing about Colin Sexton, he is a worker. He is a guy that will, once the bell is being rung, he's going to come in there ready to go. And in some cases, there's not anything wrong with getting a little weight unless he goes way out of proportion. So if he's like 7 pounds over or something like that at this particular point, but still in good shape in terms of being able to get up and down the floor and do the things he wants to do, I think that's a good thing. But as the season, or once we get started, whenever that will be, and hopefully it'll be sometime soon, but we can only hope. I don't think that's really a big concern. I just think that all of those guys were just anxious and they wanted to participate. And Coach Vickers wanted to see them as well. So I think this worked out extremely well for us. And the thing that we did is followed the protocol that was already established down in Orlando. So long as we stick with that, then everything is going to be good. And it's evident by the fact that we have gone through our 2 weeks, whatever that was, that they had an opportunity to practice, and it turned out extremely well for everybody.
We'll be right back with more Cavs HQ presented by Sherwin-Williams.
We're back on Cavs HQ with our featured guest, Cavalier legend Campy Russell. And as teams are getting back, Campy on the floor, getting back on the field, it looks like Ohio State, Michigan is going to happen. Big Ten football straight ahead.
Well, I'm looking forward to football coming, particularly the college side of it, because I want to see what Harbaugh is going to do this year with this Michigan football team, because I'm sure there's a lot of eyes on him, particularly when it comes to Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out this year, because I believe Wolverines are due to win a game here sometimes in the future. So we'll see what happens. But that's always a great rivalry. I look forward to it every year, and I'm sure everybody in the state of Ohio looks forward to it as well. Right, Rafa?
Jim Harbaugh was the only person that was happy that there was going to be no Big Ten football this year. But he was saying, finally, I'm not going to lose to Ohio State.
Yeah, you said the Wolverines, football-wise, are due. They were due 4 years ago. They were due 8 years ago. They're going to be due next year as well, if you ask me. Campy Russell. Hey,
I think you're a Notre Dame guy, aren't you? Hold on. Are you a Notre Dame guy, right?
Yeah, let's leave that aside. All right? I made my opinions known on where the Notre Dame football program is. If we had a rehash right now, it would be about a 3-hour show, and it wouldn't be pretty. Nobody would leave happy.
I got you. Hey, guys, thank you guys for the time, man. I appreciate it and getting involved. And anytime you need me, just let me know.
More Cavs HQ presented by Sherwin-Williams. Straight ahead. John and Rafa back here on Cavs HQ presented by Sherwin-Williams. So our viewers know that Rafa has a knack for being able to wrangle free stuff. And Rafa, I always tease you about it, but I think part of it is because I'm not really good at that way. And I think I'm jealous of you because you always do get a lot of great stuff. And obviously today is no exception.
My mom used to say, ask and you shall get. So somebody else said that, but my mom used to tell me that. Remember a little while ago, we always worked with our partners, with our friends at the team shop. Cavs Team Shop, they have the best and the most exclusive collection of Cavs gear. And they have this beautiful Go Cavs shirt with these colors, the retro colors, with our friends at Homage. So we had Amy Janelle from the team shop on CavsHQ, and this is what happened. Check this out.
Amy, A, thank you for joining us. B, I cannot believe he didn't ask you for free stuff.
No, wait. But before we go, I'm sorry.
There we go.
You have a sweatshirt at the team shop that says Go Cavs, and it's from Homage.
Yes.
And I had started a campaign online asking them to do one that says Vamos Cavs.
Okay.
So Amy said we're gonna pull it through for Noche Latina in March.
Well, you can pay for it, but
I'll model it. I'll pay for that.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
We love working with Homage, so we'll do something. We don't know what yet, so no promises yet. But we're gonna see.
I'll keep on putting pressure.
Later on, after I made that small request, I went on Twitter and say, hey, Homage, the company that made the T-shirt, how many retweets for you to make the shirt in Spanish? So I did ask, and after after a few retweets, they came out with this awesome shirt. And I have to say, I'm really thankful because we are one of the few teams in the NBA that have our own, usually have the Los Cavs shirt, but they helped make this to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, which is from September 15th to October 15th, and it's available at the team shop, Cavs.com/shop. I become a model for the team shop, and you have as well, because you have your Vamos Cavs shirt. So, hey, ask and you shall get, and who knows what we're going to be asking more soon. So, our guests always want to give us stuff, John. I mean, you gotta be open for gifting.
Hey, listen, I always get on you about it, but it works. It works. These are nice too. I mean, these are a heck of a lot better than the shirts you had us wear last time when J.R. Smith was on. At least these actually fit.
Yeah,
nice as well.
But I want to thank the guys at Homage and the Cavs Team Shop again. Please help us celebrate the fact that they are really supporting the Hispanic community. Cavs.com/shop. Get yours while supplies last.
If you are a shoe guy, if you are a sneakerhead, you're going to want to stick around for our next segment. Shoe artist Marcus Rivera will be joining us. Shoe artist to the stars. That's Cavs HQ.
We'll be right back with more Cavs HQ presented by Sherwin-Williams.
And we welcome you back to Cavs HQ presented by Sherwin-Williams right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Sherwin-Williams, Rafa, speaking of painting, we have a talented individual on the show. The cleats, right? Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett. You've seen the pictures, and I mean, in great detail, intricate detail on those cleats. And on the show, we have the man responsible for that, right?
He is the GOAT of customization of shoes. Because he paints on everything, on shoes, on sneakers, cleats, anything you mention it. And when you talk about players nowadays, especially the days and the life we're living on now, where everybody wants to get their message out, Marcus Rivera, Souls by Sir, he's not only family to me, but also the guy behind all these wonderful things, art that we see on the shoes. So why don't we welcome him now to Cavs HQ, Marcus Rivera, the man, the myth behind all the art behind the shoes. We welcome you to the show. Thank you for joining us. I know last time you were on the show, our producer Leo Simone recorded with that film on the camera, so we didn't have that capture at the halftime of the Browns game. But welcome, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that, and I can never forget that first interview because it was cold as heck, and we were sitting in like the nosebleeds up there.
Well, that's where Rafa's usual broadcast spot is. Welcome to where the poor guy gets stuck, not only in the NFL but in the NBA as well.
Indoors or outdoors, he's up there.
That's amazing.
Hey, Marcus, take us through how you got started with this. On the TV side, we're getting a look at some of your work. How does this begin for you?
Wow, it's actually a crazy story. It was an accident. Like 9 years ago, I was making a pair of shoes for someone. I wanted to get a pair of shoes for this person, and I couldn't find them in colors that I wanted. So I was like, I can paint this. How hard can this be? So I bought paint, bought brushes. I remember I spent 20 hours doing this project. I gave it to them. They put them on Instagram, and all of a sudden, my friends who had no idea that I was an artist were like, "Hey, my daughter's first birthday is next week. Can you do Mickey Mouse?" Or my dad's a Yankee fan. Can you do his golf shoes? So I did like 8 or 9 of those projects, and one of those projects circulated, and it got in front of Nolan Carroll, who was played for the Dolphins at the time. He reached out, and I'll never forget. He tells me, "Hey, can you do a pair of custom kicks for me?" And I was super stoked. I was like, "Yeah, for sure." I go, "What do you want?" And he said, "Statue of Liberty." Now, listen, I didn't know what the heck that meant. And I told him, "Oh, yeah, I've done a whole bunch of these before." And I remember, like, what did I get myself into? So I Googled what this means. And long story short, when somebody tells you Statue of Liberty, it means make the shoes look weathered. Like, rusty, gold, green, just like the Statue of Liberty that's been outdoors. I was like, all right, how hard can this be? So I bought an airbrush gun because at the time I didn't have an airbrush gun. I was painting with brushes. I bought the gun. I started spraying the shoe. I kept mixing colors. I must have sprayed like 40 layers of paint on the shoe. I didn't like the greens, and he kept bothering me for a photo. And I was like, all right. So I grabbed my phone, took a picture. And at the time, I used to paint in my kitchen counter. So I didn't like the photo. I sent it to him anyways, and he wrote back, "It's okay." It was like if you crushed my heart. And I took my phone and I threw it at the shoes. But what I didn't realize is right next to the shoes, I had a jar of acetone, and it falls all over the shoe that I just sent him a photo of. So I quickly grab a kitchen towel, wipe it. The best mistake that ever happened to me, because as soon as I wiped it, it almost turned into like a marbleized, beautiful, like exquisite piece. So I sent him a picture, basically faking it till I made it. Sent him a picture. It's like, hey, how about now? And he goes, and he sent me the heart emoji, like the little with the heart eyes, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So I literally took acetone, dropped it on the next one, and that's how this whole thing started. It was an accident.
I know you work with a ton of guys in the NFL, in the NBA, in other sports as well. What's your favorite? Who was the hardest shoe to design?
Wow. So I have a lot. Like the gold ones for Marshawn Lynch, believe it or not, they were crazy. They were difficult. The Conor McGregor ones for his fight against Mayweather, those were crazy just because of what happened. So behind the scenes, so Conor reached out, he designed something. I took his design, I turned it into reality. Conor has specialized boots for the fight, and there's only one in the world. So he sends them to me. So I do this complete boot identical to his rendering. The fight was Saturday. Thursday, I was finishing up. I get a phone call. Hey, Mark. So Conor, dropping his weight, decided to change the whole concept. And I'm like, it's Thursday. What do you want me to do? They're like, well, listen, pack your bags, pack your studio. We got you a flight in 2 hours. Be at the airport in an hour. You're flying out to Vegas. You're gonna paint them live, And I was like, okay. So next thing you know, 7 hours later, I'm in Vegas. 11 o'clock their time. And Ari, his manager, brings me into his massive suite and says, all right, set up. And I was like, okay. So they gave me the new rendering, and I went to town, and I was from like 11 o'clock to like 8 in the morning. So when everybody's getting up coming inside, I'm done. And I just spent my whole day. Then they quickly are like, all right, let's go. We're going to weigh-ins. We turned in the shoe to Conor at weigh-ins on Friday morning. And that was the craziest, just because of how much had to happen in such a short amount of time.
I'm kind of disappointed, because I thought you were going to say that the Cavaliers 2016 championship kicks were like the ones that were the best ones for you to make. And the story behind this is, I asked Marcus to make me a shoe of the two plays that everybody talks about from the game 7. And Judge, you like them so much. We have to have him make it, but one of the things that Marcus has is he called them one of one. So what had to happen for you to make two pairs almost that look the same but not really?
So what I did was, on yours, if you notice, the right and left shoe looked different. I did your call on the front in Spanish and in English and gold. So when John approached me saying that he loved your shoes and he couldn't let you be the only person in the building with custom kits, I said, okay, here we go. Let's get your tagline, which was "Believe It, Cleveland." We did a different type of fade on the shoes. We did John's call in English, so you guys can stand next to each other and you know that the shoes are part of the same family. However, nobody's gonna tell you they're duplicates of each other, even though they both have the shot, they both have the block. So it worked out.
Yeah, it's awesome, Marcus. Thank you. I mean, amazing stuff, amazing skill, amazing stories too. The McGregor story makes me laugh. Do you do interiors too in terms of painting? I mean,
I know this.
I noticed.
I know this is coming. All right, so listen.
Someone
with all that talent is sitting in a completely white room. Where are you?
We have a hookup with Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams is our presenting partner. We could get you a discount so you can paint the wall behind you, man. Come on.
Oh man, I knew that was coming. So listen, I'm a multi-company type of guy. So I run a couple different things. Believe it or not, the painting is one of them. I own a tire shop. I own a wholesale tire company. So in order to be able to get in here, I had to basically I'll pan around so you can see. I'm not in a bathroom, I promise. But it's like, it feels like a jail cell. But no, it's like, unfortunately, I do have to paint these walls. I just opened up this company a couple of weeks ago. So I promise next time you guys come around, there'll be some sort of painting, wrap, something. If not, I'll figure something out.
Hey, before you go, usually the guests, when they come on the show, they always like to give us something. Do you think it's possible that we can have a Vamos Cavs pair of kicks made?
Listen, 2 conditions for that. Vamos Cavs kicks can definitely be made. but you're gonna have to put them somewhere in the background of all those books that I know you don't read. You're gonna have to put them there so that people can actually see them. And then you gotta get me one of those Vamos Cavs shirt because I am the most Hispanic-looking white guy you're gonna meet in your life.
Done, and done.
Perfect.
By the way, notice he said most shows give their guests a little something. Notice,
Good guy.
you're a guest on the show, we expect you to give us
Yeah. No, and then when at least you know what I love about you, John, is you don't hide your game. You put the wine bottles literally in the photograph, so nobody can say that you're a closet alcoholic. You showcase them right there. Rafa tries to play the intellectual role, shows a whole bunch of books that are probably blank on the inside, and
a guitar that I don't play.
Yeah.
Hey, Marcus, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, guys.
More on CavsHQ presented by, Sherwin-Williams right after this. We are back here on CavsHQ. Rafa was great visiting with Marcus Rivera in the previous segment. Do you believe he got on me about the wine, the knocking point wine on the mantle?
What about me? He said, you pick a shelf and I'll go get a book. I read it.
I think it was a little harsher with me. See what we get for product placement? Product placement, and he gets all over me for the knocking point wine on the mantle.
It might have something to do with the fact that you told him that you asked him if he does interiors.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. But at least, hey, it's working. By the way, the product placement is working.
Yeah, he noticed it.
As apparently he noticed it. We have one of our good friends coming ahead. This segment, it is Joe Gabriele, the founder, Rafa, of Cavs.com, as we welcome Joe in. Joe's going to talk about the Cavs training camp, the bubble, which took place in September and into October. By all accounts, was successful, Rafa.
Beat the governor of Cavs.com now. Let's just stick with the theme here. What's up, Joe Gabriele?
Am I the governor of Cavs.com now?
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I didn't even have to run or anything.
You know, mayor, governor, we got everything here.
I like you guys dressed the same. It's like Mom woke up and dressed you guys this morning.
Well, hey, I'm sure you're going to be shocked at this, but it's another freebie that Rafa was able to figure out a way to get. They do look nice, though, don't they?
They do. They look great. I mean, I like it. Can I get one?
And in case you like it, I was going to say Cavs.com/shop. It's still available, but I'll get you one, Whoopi. You know you got one.
Make sure
Rafa was going to make me buy one.
No,
he probably is.
You're part of CavsHQ.
Only Rafa gets the freebies. You have to pay. Make sure you right too. Make sure Vamos. Don't say Vamos or Rafa's again all over the place.
Right, I know.
Heaven forbid you mispronounce a Spanish name. Hernandez anymore. I'm afraid to say Sanchez on this show. His dad's getting ready to call on the phone.
It is Sanchez, right?
Yeah, well, I don't
Sanchez,
know.
No Sanchez.
See what I'm saying? I'm afraid. That's what I'm talking about. Joseph, bubble, Cavs. Again, successful. I mean, they get back. This is what the front office wanted. This is what the coaching staff wanted. Just a chance to get their hands on the guys again, get them working together. And from what we hear, it went quite well.
Yeah, I mean, it was, again, for those 8 teams that weren't allowed in the bubble, or not allowed in the bubble, NBA's bubble, it was too long of a stretch without getting together, without playing. They needed some kind of, mini camp. So I think the guys really just loved getting together, just to get together almost. Even they went out and did a couple fun activities outside the bubble, but mostly it was a chance for the guys just to kind of get together and, play basketball. They put the floor down, they played the music, they did the player intros. So again, it was just kind of a way to make them feel like ballers again,
And I love the fact that they really concentrated on that team bond.
Yeah.
I don't know if you and I and you, John, and I should start thinking about going to play cornhole. I never played that before in my life, but I heard it's good for bonding, right?
Well, I mean, you don't want to play cornhole against either Derek Millender, the strength coach, or Mike, one of the assistant coaches, because I guess he is now, they went to Punch Bowl Social and had a big cornhole tournament. And Mike Garrity won the whole thing, and they made him a belt and everything. He wore it to practice the next day. So do not play Mike Garrity in cornhole. He'll hustle you. It was great to see Kevin make an appearance at the bubble, and Larry Nance Jr. I mean, these are our veterans. These are guys that the young guys look up to. So especially Kevin showing up at the bubble, I think was a big thing.
I think that's huge because his leadership is really wanting to be part of the team. But I wanted to ask you mentioned Larry Nance Jr. What's your take on the fact that he talked about how he has changed his body and his game? He's been working on it. So he's been taking advantage of this stoppage because he realizes now, and according, these are his words, he hopes he doesn't have to play the 5 anymore and have to bang with these guys. So he's been working on shedding some weight, working on his body to be able to play the 4 and the 3. And I think that's really interesting. No, I want to see that happening on the court because that makes us so much more fun and so much more faster.
Yeah, I'm really kind of fascinated in Larry Nance's progression. That, again, he gets better statistically every year. He has done that through college, through the pros. He gets better every year. He changes his game. And I look at like Kevin Love when he was a young player. He wasn't a three-point shooter. He was pretty much, a mauler. And then he got to be, because he's a good athlete, he got to be a better three-point shooter. He changed his body. And now he's what you see now, but he's a different person than he was then. And Larry Nance Jr. can be the same thing. I mean, you've seen his three-point stroke. It's really nice. So I think he's a natural 3-4 and definitely not a 5.
Yeah, it was funny hearing him last year. Of course, Jimmy Bickerstaff went with that big lineup at the end of last year, which gave opposing teams fits, and it had Nance at the 3. And you're right, he's probably a natural 4, but when he goes toward that spectrum down toward the 5, put him at the 3. All of a sudden, he loved it. He goes, "This big lineup's the best thing I've ever experienced." So, yeah, and you talk about it. He seems to be a natural leader. I mean, he went from a position when he was with the Lakers, a younger player. On a team that had veterans, on a team that had outspoken veterans. Obviously,
Kobe,
their junior's rookie year in LA, comes to the Cavaliers. You could tell authentically that he was happy to be back home. When that trade was made a couple of seasons ago. And now to me as well, he seems to be blossoming into that leadership role. And frankly, the Cavs need him, right? I mean, here's a guy, he's no longer a young player in the league. He's getting up there toward veteran status. And for a team where it is right now in terms of the organizational cycle, trying to climb the standings, he's going to be huge for this team, not only on the floor, but in the locker room, on that practice court as well.
Yeah, and one thing I have to mention, we're going to talk about Larry Nance Jr., is that, really he has stepped up on Twitter as far as voting. He's really been politically active, and that's not easy for athletes. They take a lot of heat for that, and he has on Twitter. I see it. And for him to stand up and really, focus on, getting drop boxes in Summit County, he's been focused. This has been his issue, his pet project, his laser focused. And again, that's not an easy thing for an athlete to do, and he's doing it. So again, Larry Nance Jr. is a leader just across the board. I'm so glad we have him.
We'll be right back with more CavsHQ presented by Sherwin-Williams.
Back here to close up shop on CavsHQ presented by Sherwin-Williams. You talked about transforming in terms of the leadership ability. One player who also is looking to transform is Darius Garland. As he goes into his sophomore season here in the NBA, we all know his one single season in college was all of 5 games at Vanderbilt. Comes in, he's thrown into the fire with the Cavaliers as a rookie. He said in the bubble, Joseph, that he is more confident now than he's ever been, in his career. And again, it wasn't a long collegiate career. He's only coming into his second year as an NBAer, but he had to battle injury early in his NBA career, that rookie season. And in terms of transforming one's game and getting stronger and getting more accustomed to battling against what many consider to be the toughest position in the NBA, that point guard position, the Cavs are looking for big things out of Darius. I think he's also looking for big things out of himself.
Yeah, again, he was, trending upward, when last year ended. He was starting to finally find his game and find his shot. He was starting to, pile up assists. So I just think he's trending upward. And, again, we just forget how young these guys are. Darius, and especially when you hear him talk, he's a kid. He's still a kid. So, again, he's trending upward. He looks different. He seems different. But like Colin, it'll take him 2 or 3 years to find himself in the league. But, again, he would have broken the rookie point shooting mark had the season continued last year. I think Darius is in a good direction. And also he has a really good head coach that he can kind of grow up with. I think that's important.
Yeah, let's talk about that head coach in a moment. You mentioned the youth of these players. Isn't it crazy to see some of the lineups in our notes? Guys born in the 2000s.
Yeah. I think Kevin Love, our only guy born in the 80s.
So I was just about to say, the feel old moment is Kevin Love's the only guy born in the 80s.
You know how young they are? I think I'm right on this one, that for Garland and for KPJ, it's going to be their first presidential election that they're eligible to vote coming up in November.
Sure.
I mean, that's how young they are.
Yeah.
Come on. It's unbelievable.
Right. I just think, again, I say this all the time, we just forget how young guys are when they come into this league. Right now I'm working on, doing research for the draft coming up. And you're looking at these guys and they're 18, 19, 20 years old. God, what knuckleheads were at 18, 19, 20, they have their stuff together compared to us,
Yeah.
So they're just young guys. Darius is growing up in front of our eyes and he'll be fine.
Knuckleheads at 19 and 20, 29 and 30.
Right. Still.
I think that goes across the board. Hey, Joe, thanks for all this. We always appreciate it. Good seeing you, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Miss you.
Miss you as well. For Joe, for Rafa, I'm John. This has been Cavs HQ presented by Sherwin-Williams. Take care, everyone.